604, Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. Welcome to Election Day, everybody. It is here. It is finally here. Oh, my word. So done with it. So done with all the polls. So done with all the town halls. So done with all the so-called debates. So done with all the hate on social media. Let's just get to it, get it over with. Get the votes counted and get them moved on. We got a big Election Day show lined up for you today, and we've got a ton of added Election Day coverage as well. We'll get to all that later on. Right now, though, we start with top stories and trending. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. We know a little bit more about yesterday's story. I guess technically it's Sunday night's story, where two people were shot by an officer at the end of a 7-mile chase that ran from Chippewa to a neighborhood off of College Drive. State police said the driver, 33-year-old Tyler Pugh, crashed into an officer's unit that accelerated toward the officer before shots were fired. Court documents show Pugh has been arrested more than a dozen times in East Baton Rouge Parish. In 2022, he was indicted on 4 charges for selling drugs and pleaded guilty to 1. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Not to worry, though. Those were suspended by Judge Tiffany Foxworth Roberts. Less than 4 months later, he was accused of shooting a woman in the stomach and hitting a car with gunfire. His record goes on from there. It is lengthy. By the way, the other guy who was shot is still in the hospital. Oh, Pugh was shot, released from the hospital, and arrested. The other guy is still in the hospital. And as far as the LSP, as far as Louisiana State Police, the officer who pulled the trigger was placed on administrative leave. That is standard operating procedure. Additional charges for Pugh and the other 2 passengers are still pending. The Louisiana Academy of Production, a new 9th through 12th grade charter school with an emphasis on film and digital media being planned for Baton Rouge, has had its charter approved by BESP. Fallon Ward, the school's executive director, told the Daily Report those involved with the project have been operating as if the charter had already been approved for some time. Nevertheless, she says the approval does constitute a significant milestone for the project. Up next, picking the location for the school, which is going to be somewhere on the grounds over there at Celtic Studios. Ooh, Kenneth Pointer's firing back. Breck's chairman, he's firing back after Treasurer Dwayne Rogers shared his concerns about the department's finance. Pointer sent out a statement to the media. In it, they said, as the chair of the Breck Commission, and on behalf of a majority of the commission, we strongly object to the false claims and criticisms of Breck's finance department that have been recently expressed to the media. Sentiments expressed by the commission's treasurer regarding agency financials and leaderships are not those of the Breck Commission. Neither our treasurer nor any other member of the public has ever been denied any public records that we have in our possession. And then went on. The statement then went on to tout the department's accomplishments in serving the public, rooting out previous wrongdoing, and getting caught up on their late audits. One person was hurt in a shooting yesterday afternoon along North Ardenwood Drive. Sources said that the shooting happened around 5:45 p.m. near the corner of North Ardenwood and Timber Creek Avenue. The victim was taken to a hospital in serious condition. No more information was immediately available. Yes, we do have a November storm. Tropical storm Raphael is out there right now in the Caribbean. 17.4 north, 78.4 west if you're scoring at home. It is in tropical storm status right now. Uh, it is going to make its way through the Caribbean over western Cuba. When it's at western Cuba, it will be at hurricane status, will remain at hurricane status as it trudges through the Gulf of Mexico. And now it's looking more and more like it's going to continue to hook to the west. So we are in the cone of uncertainty for sure. But oh, is the storm going to wash out Alabama LSU? As of right now, I would say I doubt it, but it's still within the realm of possibility. So we'll have an eye on it. Tropical storm Raphael, 6:09. It's time for trending. What's trending there, John?
Well, let me see here. The Supreme Court said Monday it will take up a new redistricting case involving Louisiana's congressional map with 2 majority black districts. Of course, that won't affect today's election, though, and won't be heard again until next year.
Yep, yep. Just enough to bump Garrett Graves out of the picture.
Right.
And they go right back to the same that I really hope that he doesn't get bit by normalcy.
Ugh,
And like, I really hope that they go back to the map that we had um, up until the last election, that Garrett throws his hat right back in the same ring and picks up where he left off. I don't know if seniority-wise he would pick up where he left off, but man, if he could, that would be beneficial for Louisiana because he has served us well.
yes, yes, he has. There's rumors circulating for new 7 locations of Buc-ee's that could be on the way.
Yeah,
The closest to us would be the Biloxi Gulfport area, Mississippi.
saw that. Saw that. There was
Close enough,
2
right?
Florida locations on the list, another
Right.
couple in Texas. I think Virginia was up in there somewhere. But yeah, Biloxi Gulfport.
Yeah, I mean,
Again, look, there's gonna be one up by what? Is there one that's going in by La Tech, I think?
we
I might
we could
have that
double check
wrong.
that.
There's
Double check it.
there's 1 or 2 that are slated for North Louisiana, but we don't have one, and I won't. I
Soon
do
enough.
and I don't. I do and I don't. I would hate to
We
see us be the ones that ruin Buc-ee's. No, it's be honest now. If we had a Buc-ee's, do you think, like, the bathrooms would be immaculate?
Oh, of
Do you
course
think the
not.
service would be on point? I just if we had a Buc-ee's, I would worry that we would ruin Buc-ee's.
Sad, but unfortunately true. Tom Brady could be facing some punishment for breaking an NFL rule during a
Saw that.
broadcast on Sunday afternoon. He criticized the officials, which, as a broadcaster, he is allowed to do, but as a part owner of the Oakland Raiders, he is forbidden to do that publicly.
I really hope they, like, give him some kind of a pass here because playing both. You
Right.
can't and if you're the league, you want him in the booth. You want his name and his popularity to be followed and continued and remain, keeping that Tom Brady hype alive as a color commentator. But at the same time, that means you have to hold him to a different set of standards as an owner, because you also want him as an owner. You want a young owner. You want Tom Brady's name in both spots here. So they gotta carve out something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I hope so. All right, 612 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're gonna take a quick break here. We have a lot of sports to cover. So it's gonna happen over the course of 2 seconds. We will do the Saints. We'll fire Dennis Allen when we come back. And then at 6:24, Brian Kelly met with the media yesterday. We'll break that down for you as well. It's all on its way next.
Byron says the picture-in-picture effect makes it harder for me to lip read when you kill the mic. Oh man, the audio is a bit choppy. Galen, sorry about that. Haggai mentioned the same. Must be the new picture
Um,
disturbing the audio.
okay, that needs to be fixed then.
Yeah, because everything.
We need to find out where the audio is. What yeah. Choppy how? Choppy like too hot and I'm clipping or what?
Then again, I can't really listen to the audio. I have to lose. No, that's on. Camera hot. Hmm. Figure it out.
He said the device that plugs into audio that converts the USB audio into the computer needs to be turned up.
Up or down?
Up.
Okay.
Oh, they say we're coming really.
All right. After this segment. Okay. 6:15 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldeman. 6:15 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldeman rolling right along. It is sports time, and we do have a lot of ground to cover this morning. Saints fired Dennis Allen. We're going to get to that in just a minute. First, though, LSU women's basketball opened up their season last night and did so in really impressive fashion. 95-44, your final score there, a 51-point win over Eastern Kentucky. Taking a look at the box score, if you were curious which LSU Tigers were rising to the top of the charts this year. You had 4 scoring in double figures last night. That would be Anissa Morrow with 20. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I left off Floje Johnson with 25. Anissa Morrow with 20. Michaela Williams with Michaela had 18, and Shemaiah Smith had 15. Also in my computer screen keeps bouncing around. Also in the box score, your other starter was a Cheyenne Day Wilson had 6 points as well. Who was this? I apologize, y'all. I'm trying to stick with this, and my computer keeps bouncing around for some reason. Jersey Wolfenbarger had 2 points too. That was it. That was it. That was it for everybody who scored last night. When you get 25, 20, 18, 15. Oh, did I forget about yes, I sure did. I completely forgot about Kalen Gilbert had 9. Um, the Tigers, I mean, they just blew the doors off of Eastern Kentucky. This wasn't close from the start. 27 points in the first quarter for LSU. Uh, it was 27-11 after one. Tigers put up 21 in the second, 25 in the third, and 22 in the fourth on their way to the 95-44 win. The LSU women's team will be back at it again on, I believe, Friday night. Yeah, Friday night, taking on Northwestern State in the Maravich Assembly Center. 7 p.m. You tip off there. You'll hear it right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Meanwhile, down in New Orleans, Dennis Allen is out. Darren Rizzi is in. Special teams coordinator taking over as the Saints interim head coach after the team fired Dennis Allen, like right as we went off the air yesterday. Like literally as we hit ABC News was when I saw the tweet. Oh, I had to sit on that for 21 hours. You got a 7-game losing streak going. You got to do something. Rizzi says this is not a day for celebration, though, and that everyone, not just Allen, is to blame for this losing streak.
We've all had a hand, me included, in where we are right now. And we're all going to have a hand digging us out of this hole that we're in.
So it's evaluation time now that Dennis Allen is gone. You're going to reevaluate with new eyes. Changes will be forthcoming.
When you lose 7 games in a row, we're obviously not in a place where we can just stay status quo. I don't think this is going to be Darren Rizzi taking over the steering wheel, and we're just going to keep moving forward. We got to make some changes in that play.
Tight end Foster Morrow says this is a shame that the team couldn't win more for the previous coach.
Dennis Allen came in here every single day. He was accountable. He worked his ass off. He led play. He did everything that he could. And in the end, results weren't there. So something had to be done.
So what we're looking at right now is Rizzi will be coaching his first game for the Saints against the rival against the Atlanta Falcons coming up Sunday, Super Bowl. Derek Carr is still going to be the starting quarterback. Don't think that just because Allen's out, they're going to move to a rookie on the season there. No, Derek Carr will be starting against Atlanta on Sunday. Moving from the Saints over to LSU, Brian Kelly met with the media yesterday. We got audio from that press conference with the press president family. We'll break down that audio right after the Fox here on Talk 107.3. All right, where we got? Is it have we moved it around? Volume going up and down, audio still choppy. Sounds like I'm broadcasting through a fan. I know, but if it's not working, something's gonna change. Well, good morning, Chris. Welcome in, sweetheart. Audio still what? All right. Y'all coming up at 7:15. We're gonna do the open phone thing for candidates. Anybody running for any race anywhere. Whether you're running for that sounds fine. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, if you're yeah. Oh, it's me. All right, we got problems on the interstate again. This time it's up on the Horace Wilkinson Bridge. Um, I-10 westbound is slow going, heading over to Port Allen to start off your morning. I'm sorry, it's stop and go heading over to Port Allen to start off your morning. Coming in from Port Allen, we're looking at some slow going traffic as well. I'm not showing that this is as a result of it. Yes, I am. It There's an accident 10-110. It says I-10 westbound at 110. There's a crash that's been it's in the roadway. BRPD posted this up about less than 10 minutes ago. So what you're looking at right now is that crash is affecting traffic, obviously on the side of the interstate where it is, and then the looky-loos on the other side as well. There's also an accident from well over 2 hours ago up on I-110 southbound near Hollywood Street. Now that being said, that's not causing any further delays. There's no red on the map, as it were. Stepping away from the delays that are right on the bound, but that's your normal volume. making your way in from Denham Springs this morning. On your surface streets, only one accident to look out for. That would be a crash that's off the roadway. Perkins at 1 Perkins Place Drive. That's really good traffic from the Shawville Star Traffic Center. $7:25, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Before we get to Brian Kelly's press conference from yesterday, Con, can you write down what the cuts were that I loaded in? Just a quick little description on each one. While I got a minute, need to tell you about the folks over at Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. Parishbuilt.com is the website. You check them out online over there at parishbuilt.com. If you need to give them a call, it's 364-1007. That's what I did. Well, I didn't give them a call. I filled out the little form on the homepage right there. I had an old roof. We were looking to re-up our insurance. The insurance company said, yeah, you're looking at a pretty significant rate hike here, and we can't get you any kind of discounts until you can show us you got a new roof. We said, well, it's time to get a new roof. And on top of that, we're going to do business with someone we know. See, that's what they like to say at Parish Construction Roofing. Do business with someone you know. And I can tell you, mean it. Like, yeah, I know it's Matt Moscone, it's Ryan Terrio, it's Rich Tilley, the whole crew over there. But it means so much more than just having a couple of names that you recognize. It means that every step through the process, when I have needed help, when I've had a question, when I needed some research about what was going on, I just give the Zach is who's been handling my roof. I just shoot him a text. Where are we at with this? Where are we at with that? How do you explain this? I got this check in from the insurance company. What do we do here? All the way through. It's doing business with someone I know, doing business with someone I can call on, someone I can rely on. And oh, by the way, they're gonna be here tomorrow. It's not like one of those door knockers who comes through after a storm. Parishbuilt.com is the website, parishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know at Parish Construction and Roofing. All right. LSU's gonna take on Alabama this Saturday. Before we get to anything involving one cut 16 to start. Before we get to anything involving the game itself, going to be a lot of hype on campus as game day is coming to town.
Yeah, we're excited about having game day here. Certainly, it's great for the community. It's certainly great for our campus. The exposure of game day does a great deal for the just entire identity, right, of Baton Rouge, the state of Louisiana, LSU. College football is kind of like the hub, when you bring it in. So I think that's going to create a lot of excitement, and we're pleased that they've chosen LSU for that.
Now, once kickoff happens, all the excitement has got to be focused on the field, right? And Alabama, according to Coach Brian Kelly, is the most talented and most balanced team that has come into Tiger Stadium or has shown up on LSU's schedule this season.
Probably as balanced of a football team that we're going to play this year. And when I mean balanced, I don't mean necessarily in terms of offense, defense, in terms of 50-50. I mean talent level across the board. I think sometimes when we look at teams, we look at potential weaknesses at a particular position. I don't see any with this team, and certainly a football team that we'll have to play our best against.
Okay, and how do you beat them?
The keys to success are pretty obvious from an offensive standpoint, taking care of the football. As I mentioned earlier, we'll have to have better balance, offensively, and that will be a prerequisite. Defensively, stopping the quarterback is going to be paramount. Bill Rowe's outstanding. He also can throw the football, so he is a doable threat. I think first down is an important down as well. I mean, they're one of the best third down and short conversion teams in the country. We need to get them behind the chains.
One more before we move on here, and that is Tropical Storm Raphael. Coach Kelly acknowledged that they're keeping an eye on it.
Goodness, I mean, there's so many things to consider going into the Alabama game. One thing I didn't have to think about, I thought, was another storm coming. But as we get closer to game time, probably tomorrow, we'll probably have to look a little bit closer at the weather situation. But is definitely on the list now.
The way the map looks, and we'll talk more about Raphael a little bit later on the show, but the way the map looks right now, it looks slower. like 1 a.m. Sunday. It's gonna be still off of the coast. And the more I'm following, the more it's looking to the west. So hopefully that trend can continue, but it just won't bother us. Right now, we are at 6:30 at Talk 107.3 FM, which means we need to check out news, traffic, weather. When we come back, let's talk election day because it is election day. Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, is going to join us from down in New Orleans. We're going to break down last second polling numbers. I'm sure the exit polls are going to be lively today as well. All that's coming your way next right here on Talk 107.3. Wait, I thought we were the garbage. Are we the garbage and they're the trash? Is that how that works?
Sounds cool.
The audio level seems to be on the M audio device.
Oh, see? All right. Yeah, that's what gets me when I'm on remote.
Oh, really?
The audio, yeah. Mhm. Just a hair. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause that's touch that.
Y'all bear with me for 1 second. Hey, Christy, I'm sending you my ballot.
Sound really clear.
That's I think the first adjustment is what got it. I don't want to over adjust.
How's that sound?
Does that sound good to you? Because that sounds good to me.
Better, but it's kind of when you moving.
Oh, okay. You know what that means? We better turn it down a little more for like. All right.
Okay, well then.
I would rather have it a little bit lower to come up rather than have it too high to start off and come back again.
So here's the adjustment. This output knob right here.
Oh. So if ever we're in
I
a
just
situation
turned it
like
down
that,
a
we'll
hair
just
more.
okay. Yeah. That should be good.
Thank you so much.
No, my
I didn't expect you to be up here for this.
No, it's okay. Just make sure it's right.
I know, which is why I appreciate you so much.
The only the frame is causing you to be smaller. You know how to do that?
Yeah, that's easier than losing weight. No, I'm just kidding.
I've never had to, so I hate to
There's the
experiment.
zoom on there. Yeah. Tight and wide, I think.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
Is the remote even working? Because I don't think the batteries have ever even.
I was gonna say I've never had to use.
We've that remote's been there sitting with the camera, and we've done nothing with it.
I gotta get Jeff on the phone, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. You're good. You're good.
I'm just
You're
thinking
good.
like. Yeah, you don't need to apologize. You're helping us out tremendously.
What's the new YouTube?
Talk I didn't promote it yet.
No, and I don't want to promote it until we know we've got it right. Rock 107.3 Baton Rouge.
Okay, I see it. Nice.
There you go.
Cool.
Ooh, that's more real time than
Oh yeah, the latency on Facebook is stupid. Crouere. You're good, Michelle. You're awesome. Coming up on 637 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Time to get a look at your forecast. Yeah, spotty rain throughout the day today. For a little more elaboration, here's Emma K. Cowan. It's good. Six 638 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldeman, rolling right along. Normally we check in with Jeff Crouere right now. We're having a little trouble getting a hold of Jeff this morning. Not to worry though, because we got so much ground to cover. It is, of course, election day. Um, tell you what, let's do here, John. Able to get a hold of Jeff, let's go ahead and pivot a little bit. Story and news at the bottom of the hour right there from Louis, excuse me, Louisiana Radio Network. Talk about the 6th congressional district. Go ahead and talk about that right now. Um, Louisiana 6th congressional district has picked up a lot of attention nationwide, which is surprising because, well, it's a district that has belonged to the Republican Party for, with the exception of like Don Cassius for like a week, it has belonged to the Republican Party for as long as I've been in Baton Rouge. It was a, for the last decade, Garrett Graves' seat. Before that, it was Bill Cassidy's seat. Before that, well, you had that whole post Katrina anomaly, or I guess that was Rita, or was it Gustav and I? I'm trying to remember right now in real time when Don Cashew got elected to that seat. And before that, it was Richard Baker. So you had, with a brief exception, kind of similar to how the second down in New Orleans has been a Democrat stronghold in the seat, with the exception of Joseph Gow for about 3 weeks. But now that's completely different because of a new map, a new congressional map that the Supreme Court is going to take a look at coming up at the beginning of next year. Actually, I shouldn't say they're taking a look at it at the beginning of next year. I know they're taking a look at it, but they haven't said exactly when. That being said, today's election the map that was and the map that will be doesn't play here. So you have a majority minority seat, which means when you look at the candidates, you're going to find predominantly minorities, which means you're going to find State Senator Cleo Fields, Quentin Anthony Anderson, Wilkin Jones, Peter Williams, and former State Senator Elbert Guillory is the Republican in the race. Bernie Pincinat talks about Cleo Fields as the front runner. Cut 7.
Whether there's a runoff or not, we don't know. It depends on who votes and how many votes Hillary cuts into him.
We're going to stick with Bernie Pincinat for a second. How many votes Guillory cuts into him is what Bernie Pincinat had to say.
How many votes will he take from Cleo? That has to be factored
I'm sorry.
in.
No.
So
Hey, stop that one real quick. What Bernie Pincinat's talking about with Elbert Guillory, saying how many votes will Elbert Guillory take away from Cleo Fields, I don't think that's the X factor of this race. I think the X factor of this race is the guy that we talked to on the show yesterday, Quentin Anthony Anderson. How many votes does he take away from Cleo Fields? That's the big question. Now, cut 8.
how many votes will he take from Cleo? That has to be factored in. So there are several factors that affect Cleo's ability to win the first primary.
The idea that you can have this young upstart, thoughtful, hustling, like dude who's a go-getter, Quentin Anderson. And look, I'm not going to agree with him politically on much, although when we talked about crime and economic development yesterday, there was little room for disagreement there. But over the whole, political spectrum, there are very few issues where we're going to be on the same page. But he's one of those guys who leads with his heart and moves his feet. And I can honestly see a scenario where he ends up pulling close to 10% of the vote. I could see a scenario today play out to where we're forced into a runoff in District 6 not because of Elbert Guillory's campaign, but because of Quentin Anderson's campaign. Because have you heard from Elbert Guillory a whole lot this entire political season? We've had him on all of once. Commercials, hard to buy. We talked with Derek Babcock from the state party who said, with full disclosure, money's been hard to come by. So where's the hustle right there? Where's the getting out and about? Where's the retail politics, the grassroots politics? Well, when you're covering a district that's 10 or 11 parishes, when you're covering a district that spans that much, and you need to get the road work in, that's tough for someone like Elbert Guillory, who is a seasoned veteran, which is another way of saying he's 80. Putting in those kind of hours, he's not built for this particular campaign. That being said, though, he is a seasoned veteran. He is a long-standing Republican in the state of Louisiana, a very respected Republican in the state of Louisiana. So while this particular campaign might not be built for him, he does still pose a threat to Fields. However, Pincinat says Guillory's chances of beating Fields very doubtful.
He'll get some votes because he'll be the only R on the ballot, but his outlook to beat Cleo because of the way the district was created and the advantage any candidate has is highly unlikely.
They're all black candidates, Bernie. I don't know how to break that down another way. If you're talking about the top 3 in the race, all 3 are black. So that's a wash. But here's the scenario I'm looking at. Quentin Anthony Anderson has been out there, and he's been really, really running. And I know I'm too much with the sports metaphor, but he's been at full court press this entire time. Now, if you're looking at Guillory posting up about a third of the vote, that's honest assessment, right about a third of the vote. If Guillory's going to be a third of the vote simply because he's a Republican, if Anderson is snagging 10% of the vote, that will likely be enough to keep Fields underneath 50%, forcing a runoff. Now, why does a runoff matter? You say, Brian, what does that matter if you have a runoff? Who cares if you have a runoff? Once it's one-on-one, it's built to be majority minority in a district that was hand carved hand carved to suit Cleo Fields. Once you're down to a one-on-one race in December, what difference does that make? Fields is going to mop the floor with him then. Well, at that point, I would say to you, not necessarily, because at that point, you're looking at the national picture, focusing on Louisiana, because it will be one of a very few runoffs, one of a very few seats where nationally the RNC is trying to maintain control of the House of Representatives. And if you want to keep a majority, well, you don't want to lose a seat in Louisiana to be sure. So what you would see there after today, if Hillary survives the day today, if Cleo Fields doesn't win without a runoff today, what you would see at that point is an influx of dollars into Louisiana, an influx of dollars that would hopefully create a more level playing for Albert Hillary in the runoff. What you would see at that point is, hey, a whole lot of help coming to town. Not just pro Albert Guillory, but watch for the number of commercials that come in bad mouthing the liberal left, the Hollywood left. Do your values align with the values of the Democrat Party? Not in Louisiana so much, but on the East and West Coast. That's where the narrative is going to pivot to. If Albert Guillory can survive the day, he's going to have Scrooge McDuck like money to dive into. I'm keeping an eye on this race for sure. It's polling, by the way. As far as polling's concerned, Fields is under 50% right now, but there's a whole lot that are undecided. So we'll be dialed in. One of the things we'll be talking about tonight when we do live and local coverage from 8 to 10. Right now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll check traffic, your money now, continuing next. Well, shit. What do we do now?
That's not like him, is it? He's never.
I know. Well, no, it's been a couple months, but I know if he's doing something different for election day, that's. I should have talked to him ahead of time. That's a good spot right there. Troy, you're more than welcome to call 499-1073. Let's go. Nick says polls are long, Haldane. I've been taking a supplement. No. Polls are long. Get out early and vote. Sorry. I will never not be a high school sophomore. That's talking about my
Every
friend.
guy. Yeah.
What?
Isn't that the case with every guy there?
Yeah.
We're all- yeah. It was
I got your poll right here.
exactly.
There used to be this show called Frisky Dingo on
Okay.
Cartoon Network. And
Yeah, I
and
missed that
go look it up. Did you ever watch Archer?
Yes.
Same people.
Really?
Yeah, it was before Archer. But there was in season 2 there was a race for president between Xander Cruz, main character, and Frisky Dingo was like instead of Whiskey Tango, Frisky, Xander Cruz was the hero and Killface was the villain, and Killface ran against Xander Cruz, and there's this political consultant named Mr. Ford, and they were asking what American voters wanted, and he said, "I'll tell you what American voters want, and a place to door on it."
Wow.
Because you don't want the dog looking at you. Oh God! Well, I'd laugh at that. Not really. Okay, good. 652 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hey, cue up 4, 5, and 6, please. I'm sorry. Check that. 10, 11, 12. That's my bad. We got ABC News coming your way in just a little bit. Big day today as it is election day. We're going to be covering elections from basically every angle. Hey, coming up at 7:15, a little something we like to do here every election day. It's been hit or miss in the past. Last year was huge. Open phone lines at 7:15. Who are you? What are you running for, and why should I vote for you? Any candidate in any race out there, we like to give open access to as many folks as possible, up and down the ballot, no matter what you're running for. Whether you are, running for mayor president of Baton Rouge, if you're in that race, give us a call at 499-1073. If you're running for, like, town council in Killian, doesn't matter. Top to bottom of the ballot. Who are you? What are you running for? And why should we vote for you? 499-1073, coming up 20 minutes from right now at 7:15. We've done this a couple times, and it's given access to folks that wouldn't normally be reaching out to a radio station in the first place. So whatever the race is you're in. Oh, and by the way, if you're passionate about one of the issues on the ballot, fire off on that one too. Firemen, city plan of government, Breck. And I know the ones that are in Baton Rouge because they're on my ballot. But if you're in the surrounding area and you had comments on an issue that's on the ballot, 499-1073. We're going to be doing that coming up at 7:15. Before we get back into the day that is, got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. While it's game day at the polling place, Saturday will be game day at Tiger Stadium, and game day will be at Tiger Stadium or on LSU's campus. Mathern's has got you covered all day long. Swing on by, stop on in. Your unofficial game day headquarters, as it were. Bouncing from tailgate to tailgate, no problem. Pop on in, get a couple of cold ones. Pop on in, grab yourself a big old tray of cookies to take to your next tailgate. Hey, if you made it out to LSU and you're like, oh, darn it, we're out of charcoal. Not to worry, Mathern's has got you covered. Whatever it is you need on game day, they got you covered. And if you have the Mathern's app, you can be earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop. Hit that little the tab on the rewards app in the upper right-hand corner, and the checkout clerk will scan it and It does all the math for you. The Mathern's app, earning cash towards more groceries every single day at Mathern's. They're in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, directly across the street from Tiger Stadium. So we're doing open phones at 7:15, 7:35. Former Congressman Billy Tauzin going to join us. I want to talk about the political landscape today, and I want to talk about what it's like to be a candidate on Election Day. He's walked that path before. 8 o'clock hour, Secretary of State Nancy Landry is going to join us. She's got a busy day today, so I appreciate her carving out a couple minutes this morning. She'll also be a part of our coverage tonight, which we'll get to in a second. Rounding out the guest list will be Troy Carter at 8:35, little DC Current presented by LABI. Coming up tonight, 8 p.m., we are live and local, y'all. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. I will be at the helm here, and I've got a list of folks to check in with throughout the evening. As polls close, we open up. As polls close, we get rolling. We're going to cover you from 8 to 10, talking primarily about the mayor's race, Metro Council races, congressional race, PSC, items on the ballot, like the constitutional amendment that's on the ballot, and everything else. 8 to 10 for all the local stuff. 10 o'clock rolls around. We're handing off to ABC News. They're going to take you home from 10 until midnight. That is our election coverage later on this evening. Right now, though, let's go back to, sticking with the elections. Early voting is suggesting that there's a lot of fervor on the Republican side. 1 million ballots, darn near 1 million ballots were cast early this year, just under 1 million. JMC Analytics, that would be our boy John Cuvion, he highlighted a drop in black voter participation, especially in East Baton Rouge Parish. Cuvion says back in 2020, black voters comprised 30% of early voters. This year, they make up only 25%. Numbers, he say, should bode well for Donald Trump.
And I'm not convinced that difference is all going to be made up on election night. So what I'm getting at is you have a much more robust Republican turnout, which I think notches up Trump's total. I would not be terribly surprised if he gets 60% tomorrow night.
Here in Louisiana, to be sure. More on that in just a second. A notable trend is Republican advantage in early voting across the board. Historically, early voting had leaned Democratic. This year, Republicans led all 10 days, achieving a 9-point advantage. Secretary of State reports that almost 850,000 voters cast their ballots in person, more than 103,000 voting on the final day alone. Cuvion says we should have a pretty clear picture this evening of how Louisiana voted.
That's roughly about half of the entire vote. And because it gets reported as one number per each parish, I would expect to see the vast majority of all that in between 8:15 and 8:45. And, you'll have a pretty good idea about who's ahead in our state.
Which is why we're running from 8 till 10. You're going to have parishes that lag for sure. But if the early vote is in by 8:45, then you've already done, well, from the polling perspective, poll workers' perspective, over half the job is done before 9 p.m. By the way, nationwide trends are showing a tighter race. Man, I've been looking at numbers out of the swing states, and this is going to be it could not be tighter in the 7 swing states. Cuvion talks about that. He says Democrats, around 55 million people have already voted early in the U.S., with Democrats holding a 3-point lead compared to a 14-point lead from 4 years ago.
The 2 states I'm going to be most interested in watching are Florida and North Carolina. For one thing, they have an early poll close. For another thing, because 70% of their vote is early vote, and they report very quickly in those 2 states.
Which is a good thing, because we don't want to be waiting on Florida for sure. But I'm not just looking at Florida and North Carolina tonight. Arizona has me concerned because Moon put it in my head yesterday. About Maricopa County. Arizona's got me concerned. I'm not expecting Trump to win Nevada for sure. In Florida, it's within the margin of error. Actually, for that matter, according to the latest numbers, it's within the margin of error for Georgia, for Michigan, and for Pennsylvania as well. So it's setting up to be a busy night. I mean, a busy night. And the flip side of it is, when you look at the Electoral College, if one of these 2 candidates wins each of these states electorally, it's going to be a landslide, while popular vote is going to be a lot tighter. It's 7 o'clock. Here comes news. Like a hair stuck in my glass. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's been bothering me all morning. It's been tickling my nose.
Cool. So, Byron, the best part of election day is making my own stickers to tell people what I did that day. All right. Thank y'all for bearing with us throughout all that. This is kind of a trial and error situation. So
Yeah.
once we get it solidified, though, we'll be good to go from here on out. But just the only way to do it is to practice publicly, and that's what we're doing. So we'll stick with what works, and so far we should be good. I will say though, the lag is it's just almost non-existent. I love that.
On YouTube.
On YouTube? Oh, Facebook says a lag?
Facebook says, yeah, it's better, but it's still there. I got to map up something for 7:15 just in case no candidates call.
Do you want me to screen them, or you don't want me to just send them straight to you?
Just get their name and what they're running for, and then text me because we don't have a call screen. Text me who they are.
Okay.
Oh no, shit! I don't want that. That's 2 hours long. .705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldeman rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. It is election day. Welcome, congratulations. You've made it. Well, you've made it to election day. Now we're going to make it through election day. Coming up in our next segment, we're opening up the phone lines. If you are running for any office at all out there, give us a call at 499-1073. We'd love to have you on. There's so many different items on so many different ballots. It's impossible to get to everybody walking up to election day. I think I responded to every email request I got, but I don't know. So we want to open up the phone lines. If you're running for an office, give us a call, please, at 499-1073 in our next segment. Right now, though, also this hour, Billy Tauzin, former congressman, going to join us to talk about not just election day, as he's been there, done that, right? but also the political landscape right now in America and what we're looking at as far as just the division and divisiveness. That's all coming up later on this hour. Right now, let's start off with top stories and trending. We got more on yesterday's story. Well, I guess technically it's Sunday night's story, where two people were shot by an officer at the end of a 7-mile chase that ran from Chippewa Street to a neighborhood off of College Drive. State police said the driver, 33-year-old Tyler Pugh, crashed into an officer's unit and then accelerated towards the officer before shots were fired. Court documents show that Pugh had been arrested more than a dozen times in East Baton Rouge Parish. In fact, in 2022, he was indicted on 4 charges for selling drugs. He pleaded guilty to one of them. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison, which were suspended by Judge Tiffany Foxworth Roberts. Less than 4 months later, he was accused of shooting a woman in the stomach and hitting a car with gunfire. His record goes on from there. I mean, his record is as long as can be. By the way, he was shot, released from the hospital, and arrested. Other guy who was shot is still in the hospital. State police said the officer who pulled the trigger was placed on administrative leave. That's pretty standard operating procedure. More charges are expected for these two who were, well, I guess the victims of the shooting, but the perpetrators of the chase. The Louisiana Academy of Production, a new 9th through 12th grade charter school with an emphasis on film and digital media being planned for Baton Rouge, has had its charter approved by BESE, the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. Fallon Ward, the school's executive director, tells the Daily Report those involved with the project have been operating as if the charter had already been approved for some time, so they've been moving forward. Nevertheless, this is a big moment. Next step, picking up the physical location. That being said, it's going to be on the grounds by Celtic Studios. It's just a matter of where on the grounds by Celtic Studios. Oh, Breck's chairman, Kenneth Pointer, is firing back after Treasurer Dwayne Rogers shared his concern about the department's finances. Pointer sent out a statement to the media. It said, as chair of the Breck Commission and on behalf of a majority of the commission, that's right, a majority of the commission, we strongly object to the false claims and criticisms of Breck's finance department that have been recently expressed to the media. The sentiments expressed by the commission's treasurer regarding agency financials and leadership are not those of the Breck's commission. Neither our treasurer nor any other member of the public has ever been denied any public records that we have in our possession. The statement went from there to tout the department's accomplishments, namely Greenwood Park, the flipping around to the zoo entrance, and all the other work that they've been doing in serving the public. They talked about rooting out previous wrongdoing, theft that was reported previously, and getting caught up on their late audits. One person was hurt in a shooting yesterday afternoon along North Ardenwood Drive. Sources said that shooting happened around 5:45 p.m. near the corner of North Ardenwood and Timber Creek Avenue. That victim was taken to a hospital in serious condition. No more information was immediately available. Not done with hurricane season just yet. We've got Tropical Storm Raphael out there right now, and Tropical Storm Raphael is pushing hurricane status. Well, not quite yet. It's getting there, though. Latest numbers at 7 a.m. show Raphael with maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. Storm's moving northwest at 13 miles per hour. Now, that being said, it is still in the Caribbean and will be in the Caribbean until about tomorrow afternoon, at which point it's going to hit western Cuba as a hurricane. It should develop into a hurricane in the overnight hours, but it'll hit western Cuba tomorrow afternoon, then make its way into the Gulf. It'll be in the Gulf throughout Thursday and Friday, in fact, even Saturday as well. Looking at the map, Louisiana is in the cone of uncertainty. Baton Rouge is in the cone of uncertainty. But late Saturday, probably overnight hours Sunday at the way this thing is trending right now. What's trending, John?
Well, the Supreme Court said Monday it will take up a new redistricting case involving Louisiana's congressional map with 2 majority black districts. Of course, that won't affect today's election and won't be heard until next year.
Yep. It's been kind of a grin and bear it sort of thing with this particular map. The governor called for a special session to get a map drawn. This was the one they came out with. I would just like to go back and re-argue all of it, but I feel like we moved the previous question a long time ago on this one. this particular map was already thrown out before. It was thrown out in the 90s as a gerrymandered district. And oh, by the way, or gerrymandered map. And it's not just the 6th that's gerrymandered here. I mean, you're looking at already Congressman Carter. His district is jacked up. He is the congressman from New Orleans, and he represents Baton Rouge as well. And his district snakes all the way up the river. Congresswoman Julia Letlow represents northeastern Louisiana, but her district also represents the Florida parishes. So in some cases, if you, like, let's say you live in Washington Parish, all right? Let's say you're State Representative John Weibel, all right? If you want to go visit your congresswoman, you have to leave the state to do it. I mean, unless you want to drive west and then north, if you want to make a beeline from Franklinton to Monroe, yeah, you're going to go through Mississippi. You have to leave your own state in order to visit your own congressperson. And oh, by the way, then you've got the 6th that snakes its way up from Baton Rouge all the way to southwest Shreveport. It's just everything about this map is jacked up in order to meet racial lines and only racial lines.
Yeah, well, congressmen and women aren't the only thing you're going to have to leave the state for to reach, because there's rumors circulating for 7 new locations of Buc-ee's that could be on the way. The closest to us, though, would be the Biloxi Gulfport area.
Saw that.
Mississippi.
I saw that. So here's the thing, though. If you're opening a Buc-ee's in Biloxi or Gulfport, are you putting it on the interstate before you get off to go down to the beach? Or you put it right there on the dadgum beach? Would a beachfront Biloxi, would a beachfront Buc-ee's be just the awesomest?
That might change everything.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have, it'd be hard to keep the sand out, to be sure. But, like, you're going to serve more people. Well, you're going to serve more people on the interstate, because if you're between Gulfport and Biloxi, you're catching folks going both ways and going all the way to Florida or whatever, making a stop there. But at the same time, though, you would have something unique if you were beachfront.
Absolutely.
A beachfront Buc-ee's. Look, Buc-ee's brisket on the beach.
Serve as a surf shop, right?
Yeah.
Maybe throw in some things like that.
Well, you got that whole
Buc-ee swimwear, things like that.
Can you put in an airbrush station?
There we go.
Can we put in an airbrush station? Maybe sell some seashells?
That's it.
Over at Buc-ee's?
Yeah. Oh, man. Hey, Tom Brady could be facing some punishment for breaking an NFL rule during a broadcast on Sunday afternoon. He criticized the officials, which, as a broadcaster, he is allowed to do. But as a part owner of the Oakland Raiders, he is forbidden from doing so publicly.
Did the copy say Oakland?
Oakland Raiders.
Okay, well, we need to let that news outlet know that the Raiders are in Las Vegas. Look at that. It's right there in the story.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, so let me find the someone needs to tell.
The original link?
Yeah. Kevin Harris.
Oh.
Kevin Harris over at Next Impulse Sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oops.
Whoopsie diddles. Oh, man. Okay. No. Oh. It's been corrected. It actually says as the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Look at that. But I'm looking right where it was copied from.
Yeah, we didn't catch it the first hour then.
Nope. Did not.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All good.
No harm. That happens all the time. They're still the San Diego Chargers, right?
Right.
Sure. Why not? It's 7:14 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. All right. Open phone lines in our next segment. Who are you? What are you running for? Why should we vote for you? If you are running for any race out there at all, give us a call at 499-1073, 499-1073. Surrounding area, small town council, whatever it is, just holler at us. We're ready for you. Coming up next on Talk 107.3. I'm going to forward you a bunch of national cuts just in case this segment does not take off.
Okay. Not a problem.
and you're just going to have to kind of wing it as to when I'm going to what, right?
Okay.
They're not numbered or anything.
I'll just.
There's descriptions along with them, though, so it's easy to do.
Okay. Not going in entirely blind.
2 from Oprah, 2 from Trump.
Okay.
Actually, let me grab one more. All right.
Okay. You sent it?
Oh, shit, let me hit send.
Oh.
Seven, 717 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldeman, rolling right along. All right. We've done this for a couple of elections now, and it's been super hit or miss. Last year, we couldn't get people off the phone. Everybody running for state representative last year was on the hotline on election day. Who are you? What are you running for, and why should we vote for you? 499-1073 is the phone number. We got a lot of ground to cover in the meanwhile, but let's open up the phones, see if we can't get a couple folks to call in with their last-minute campaign pitch. Before we do any of that, though, want to remind you about the folks over at Vex European, VEX, Vex European. Check them out online at vexeuropean.com. I use Vex European. I wouldn't tell you about them if I didn't use them and if I didn't love them. Vinny and his team over at Vex. I've got a 16-year-old car, which means I need the best care possible for everything under the hood, and that's why I go to Vex. Not just for anything major, not just for the major repairs, but the standard maintenance as well. I've got if you drive a European vehicle, a Mercedes, a BMW, a Volvo, a Land Rover, they're going to pair you with a tech for your car. I mean, master expert level technician for your car. And that technician's going to stay with you and get to know your car the same way your doctor gets to know you. Same day or next day service. They pride themselves on that. They get you in, they get you out over at Vex European and vexeuropean.com. All right, let's see if we can't stay on topic while doing the open phones thing. Want to, if we could, check in a little bit on the presidential race, which we haven't done a whole lot of locally here. Just because there's so many different outlets for a presidential race, right? Everybody national. Kilmeade covers the heck out of it. We got Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. They cover it as well. Lars Larson in the evening. And, you know, there's so many different national outlets out there. ABC News at the top and bottom of the hour. It's we don't oftentimes take our own look at it, right? But we can. And we will, actually. Let's go ahead and start off with, there's been a number of voices sounding off on Kamala Harris's side. The latest of those is Oprah, who has said, you don't have the cuts? How do you not have the cuts? Let me resend. You just holler when you have the cuts. All right. Sorry, we're real-time radio here. You got them? Okay. One of the voices sounding off on Kamala Harris's side, is, as you would expect, is Oprah. Oprah Winfrey has sounded off talking about Vice President Harris and her candidacy, but reminding women specifically that, man, if a no vote, or sorry, not voting at all is the same as voting for Donald Trump as far as she's concerned.
Control your future.
Always has been. That goes both ways, by the way. That wouldn't be just about. I mean, it's the same is true if you were leaning Trump and then didn't go vote. Well, then a non-vote is the same as subtracting one from your candidate, which is the same as giving one to the other candidate. Oprah goes on, talks about, and this is where things get a little bit ominous, to say the least. Things get a little bit sci-fi novelish. Oprah talking about how, look, if you don't vote this time, you might not ever get to vote again.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
And remember, Republicans, we need to dial back the political rhetoric. Remember, Republicans, excuse me, Nazis, excuse me, garbage, excuse me, fascists. We need to dial back the political rhetoric. The day before the election, and we're still at that fever pitch. I mean, today is election day. She said that yesterday. But the day before the election, and both sides with the hyperbole, both sides with the rhetoric. But man, it starts, when you see it in real time like that, it gets disgusting. And look, make no bones about it. I'm disgusted about it on both sides. Donald Trump was in Michigan, I believe, yesterday. And one of his stops was in Michigan, where he told the folks in Michigan, get out there and vote.
Go out today and vote. And I guess 7 o'clock or whatever time it is, doesn't matter. And we're going to have the greatest victory in the history of our country.
I mean, when it all comes down to it, and this is the next cut from Trump, he talks about, like, this is, election day is finally here. This long road has finally culminated in this.
This is it. This is the last one that we're going to have to do.
Tell you what, stick with that cut real quick. I want to go back to the Oprah cut for a second, the second one where she talks about you might not get to vote anymore, because this is something that grew legs through the media and was totally bogus. Play the Donald Trump "This Is It" cut again.
This is it. This is the last one that we're going to have to do.
Okay, remember earlier on in the campaign when Donald Trump said, or Donald Trump was quoted as saying, if you go out and vote now, you're never going to have to vote again? And like either left out the "for me" part or was working under the impression that I'm going to fix all your problems and your vote. Like every time you hear this election is the most important election ever, we can stop saying that because it's going to dial back after this. So when he says, this is it, this is the last one we're going to have to do, don't you hear him saying me? I that's one of the things that's baffled me. Go back to Oprah real quick, talking about might not ever get to vote again.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
Yeah, I don't buy that rhetoric, especially in terms of, I don't understand how you can speak ill of Donald Trump saying everything is about him and him alone. And then when he says something that is about him entirely, you make it about everyone. Like if the rhetoric is that he's selfish, if the tagline is that he only thinks about himself, when he says we don't have to do this anymore, well, he means he doesn't have to do this anymore. After all, he is only concerned about him, per the talking points, right? One more from Donald Trump on this, and this is one of those ones that just, admittedly, that I get cheesed about this sort of thing, because I don't think you have to be mean to somebody in order to win an election. I think you can win an election based off of A, your record, and B, the question of, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? But Here's Donald Trump talking about his opponent.
It starts with a B, but I won't say it. I want to say it.
You know, that gets completely blown up, right? Those times where he's at a microphone, he's in front of one particular room, and he thinks he's in front of one particular room, but the reality is you're in front of the whole world every time you're on a microphone. The reality is that the internet is written in ink, and clips like that. I mean, he thinks that the whole thing has left the rails, and he's just kind of riffing along the way, having fun with his audience and whatnot. But no, you're still on the clock, sir. This still counts. You're not talking about somebody off the record. You're not talking about somebody behind closed doors. It still counts at that point. Oh, my goodness. We're at 727 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Like I said, the segment has gone well in the past, but it's always been hit or miss. We had open phone lines for this segment if anybody wants to call in. 499-1073. Who are you? What are you voting for? And why should we vote for you? Added to that, though, I'll tell you, we got 4 minutes left if you want to chime in about who you are voting for at 499-1073. If you just want to hop on the show real quick and talk about, hey, I'm voting for XYZ and here's why. We can do that. We got a couple minutes. But we've only got a couple minutes because coming up in our next segment, we're going to speak with former Congressman Billy Tauzin. And I'm fired up about this because former Congressman Tauzin has had a long and storied political career. And to go along with that, he's actually represented both parties in the past. So the word bipartisanship used to not be a pejorative. The word bipartisanship used to not be a career-ending negative. But seemingly it is today. I want to talk with Billy Tauzin about that political landscape and whether or not it's sustainable. Like the powers that be, the big money behind politics, they're working in this fashion because they're earning dollars today. But long term, how long can we keep at this pace? How long can we keep at each other's throats? How long can we keep hearing on the one side that Republicans want to end all elections, Republicans want to control women's bodies, Republicans want to just fill in the blank with whatever issue it is that makes, folks like me evil. And then on the other side, how long can we keep up with they want to destroy America and American values? It's never about one issue. It's always about broadening things out to the nth degree. Aren't we in a bad enough spot right now? Can't we? Is it possible for one side to put the sword back in its sheath? Is it possible for one side to stand down without getting run over? It's like the first team who blinks loses. We'll talk with Billy Tauzin in our next segment. Also on the show this morning, Secretary of State Nancy Landry is going to join us at 8:15. She's got a busy day in front of her today. Polls are already open. And by the way, thanks to all the folks who are chiming in over on Facebook Live, talking about your polling experience already this morning, as we're seeing from a lot of folks that it's busy. It's busy. If you were curious as to whether or not early voting was going to curtail the crowds at the polling places today, well, fear not, because I'm looking at a number of different comments. Some of them have already scrolled past where some of them are so deep into the comment section, I can't get back to them. But for example, Glenn says, I was 10th in line to vote this morning. Who else is in here? No, these have all gone off to a completely different topic, which I love about the Facebook chat. But no, there were earlier on in the show, polls opened at 6 o'clock. In the 6 o'clock hour, we're getting a ton of feedback, and the early word is that folks are getting out there before going to work, getting it done before the weather kicks in, and the like. Here's news. I hate when that happens. Okay, see, here's a great example of the right way to make the argument. Here's Galen. Assuming Kamala is elected, I seriously worry how hostile countries like Iran, China, etc. will test our female commander-in-chief/president. These countries have low opinions of females, and Kamala's strengths are giggles and word salads. Now, what he talked about is another country's perception of the president. He did not talk about her intent, what's in her heart, or what he perceives to be in her heart. That right there is Galen doing the right form of the argument. That's the kind of political talking point that I love to see, because it's a valid issue. Other countries will have a negative view of a female president. Absolutely. And in turn, will she be able to stand up to them when she's faced with adversity on that front? That is a cogent, valid, strong argument. And at no point does he say Kamala wants to become a Chinese communist. You know, she wants to. She wants to take away your guns. She wants to have your kids turn trans. Like, it's not down that road.
Right.
It's sticking to the facts.
Yep.
It's awesome.
That should be, man. Will this be a call or is he coming in?
We're calling him.
Okay.
I gotta get his number.
Okay. Just checking.
One day, Bernie Pinsonet's going to say something that wasn't 30 years old. Here, kill the mic. I texted a couple people asking them to call. If they call during this next segment, tell them to call back at 7:55.
Okay.
Tauzin. Yeah.
Hello, good morning, sir. Mr. Tauzin? Yes, this is John with Brown Haldane. Hey, looking to have you on air in just a few moments. All right. Yeah, we're looking at about another minute or two. Sound good? All right, sounds good. Thank you.
that's the new. No, it couldn't because he wasn't. He was still just through the headset. Studio. Ted. Oh man, we just ended the segment. Can you call back at 7:55? Cool. Thanks. Let's get a look at that election day forecast. Here's WBRZ meteorologist Emma Kate Cowan. I should have texted it like a whole bunch of people in the 6 o'clock hour. Yeah, I mean, I've talked to all of them on the phone. Like, I should have stacked the deck. When it was state rep, like, I know all the state legislatures listened to the show, especially during a special session session. So it's no problem there.
Yeah. Just throw it out there. Hey.
Yep. .737 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldeman, rolling right along. It is election day. I want to get a look at not just what it's like as a former candidate, what election day is like on that front, but I want to get a look at the overall political landscape right now. And I had the opportunity to reach out to former Congressman Billy Tauzin for that, and he joins us right now. Congressman Tauzin, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you, man?
Hey, man. Glad to be with you.
No, glad to have you on here to bring your perspective to this picture here because, number one, it is election day, which is, of the utmost importance always. Not just this election here, oh, this is the most important election ever, but just overall, it should always be our duty as a citizen to go out and vote. But beyond that, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about how you've seen the landscape change over the years. Can we start there?
Oh, sure. And it's pretty obvious, I think, to all of your listeners and to all of us in this country that we've seen a dramatic shift in the way politics is conducted in our country. There was a time when we'd, get elected and just go to work together, Democrats and Republicans, Independents. Louisiana, for a long time, didn't care, frankly, what party you belonged to as long as you served them well. Today, the parties have literally created a situation where people get elected not to get along, but to get even with each other after a nasty campaign. It's gotten so ugly that it literally comes down to voters having to choose between what they think are two bad alternatives.
And it doesn't feed or it doesn't fuel good people to go out. I mean, I'm not disparaging anybody who's put their hat in the ring. It takes so much to do that, to put yourself out there like that. But if you're just, everyday Joe businessman who's trying to raise a family and wants to make a difference, you have to look at things through the scope before you even sign up to run of, oh my goodness, am I going to put my family through this ringer?
Yeah, and it, I'm sure it discourages a lot of people. It hadn't obviously discouraged from people from running. We have a lot of candidates, but the quality of those candidates has been diminished, I think. They're more beholden to the party they belong in and the money the party can provide for them to run an election than they are on running on their own merits now. But the parties really run things now in the country, and to a large extent, I think they've damaged our democracy.
Is this something that, this obviously hasn't happened overnight, right? But is this something that was there a canary in the coal mine at any time that could have shown us we're on the wrong path here?
Oh, there's a number of things. We obviously have talk radio and talk television and cable news and 24-hour coverage, and now we got social media. Oh. And you can't tell the truth from fiction anymore. And so we have this confusion of all those issues coming together under a canopy of bias. What happened to the Walter Cronkites, who just reported the news and let you figure out what it meant to you? today you hear what they think it means to you, regardless of what the news is. That's one part of it. The other part of it is, frankly, the money in politics. As I said, the parties really control it now. And when I was there, we could be independent. I never accepted $1 from either party when I served in Congress for, by the way, in both parties.
Yeah.
I ran on my own without the need for party money, and as a result, I could be independent. I could represent both, literally, Democrats and Republicans in my district. That's gone. I mean, you get elected now to get even
Well,
from these awful, ugly elections.
well, yeah. I mean, not just to get even, but to raise more money for the next election, to raise more money for the next election.
Every day.
Yeah.
It's all about raising money. And I don't know how you change that. I think we could do a lot to re-socialize the Congress. When I finished my cancer treatments and I returned to Washington, I took my son Tom to the Capitol, and we went to the door where members come out from voting toward the Raven Building.
Mm-hmm.
And members came out in streams. I mean, Democrats, Republicans hugging me, kissing me, wishing me so much well after having defeated cancer. And, Maxine Waters, John Lewis hugging me. My son, when it was over, said, "Dad, what was that all about? Those are liberal Democrats. You're a Republican."
Right.
And I said, "No, son, those are my friends. And we've always been friends, regardless of how we voted." That's gone. There's so few friends now, so few people willing to literally sit across the table and figure out what's right for the country.
We're talking with former Congressman Billy Tauzin about the political landscape today. Congressman Tauzin, okay, hear me out here. Do we have too much transparency in
No.
regards of, like, the more that the politicians on camera, the more they have to play to their base, the more they have to, quote unquote, be on, the less they could do to actually work with someone who's on the other side of the aisle and not risk losing their base and their dollars?
No, transparency is critical. I mean,
Okay.
you can't, I don't think we should take that away. I think we need to be a little more invested in the people themselves instead of their talk, lines they're taught to preach to us on. If you have a relationship with them in the sense that you know them as a person, and someone you finally feel confident in trusting with power in our country, transparency is still very important. I wouldn't kick that out one bit.
Okay. It's one of the things that I've often considered is that there is no time for the Reagan and Tip O'Neill meetings today, because it would all be on camera, which would mean that they would all, that both sides would have to hate each other in order to risk not getting primaried the next time around.
Yeah, that's part of it. But the real big part of it is that something happened since I left that I think we need to focus on. And that is that there was a time when Congress met all week long, several weeks in a row, and then went home for breaks and went home and do town hall meetings and in-person meetings with constituents. But we stayed in Washington for a good length of time, and our families got together. We went to soccer games together and charitable events together and traveled together. We got to know each other as people instead of party enemies. And the result was we could sit down across the table and figure out common good and common ground. Today, they sit across that table and do their best to make sure the other guy doesn't win, that he loses. And so we all lose in that kind of a context. And part of it is because they've lost the social contact with one another. The simple humanity of knowing each other and their spouses and their children and getting to know each other as friends, even though they may disagree. I don't think I ever voted with Maxine Waters once, but we were friends.
Right.
We could communicate. We could talk and find every now and then something we have in common. Can't do that today.
Okay. And you and I talked briefly yesterday afternoon, so I'm going to ask you a question I asked you then. Is it sustainable? Can we go on as a people like this? Can we move forward as a people in the way we're at each other's throats?
Yeah, but we got to make some changes. And I'm writing about it. But I think one of the changes we have to make basically is to get rid of this polarization in districting. I mean, we have these super minority districts and these super conservative districts, and to get the nomination, you have to be the most conservative in a super conservative majority district, and you have to be the most liberal in a minority district. So not only is it polarized, it's super polarized by the fact that we've resegregated politically our country between conservative districts and liberal districts. When I served, there was diversity. I represented about 26%, I think, minority population in my district. And as a result, I had to take into account the needs of that minority community. Today, there are districts with almost no minorities in them, and there are districts with 90, 80% minorities in them. We've resegregated this country politically, and we need to turn that around. We need diversity districts again.
The only way to, well, I shouldn't say the only way, but the most obvious way to undo all of it is to defund the machine. Is there a way to back money out of the equation?
Well, the only way you could do it is to go to public financing, and that's terrible.
Yeah,
that's
right.
a government financing the next round of elections to form a government. That's to me a terrible idea. I think we have to change the financing rules. Right now, it's harder for a candidate to raise his own money than it is for the party to raise all this dark money. They call it dark money because you don't even have to account for where it comes from. And the parties can raise untold amounts of monies without ever, exposing where the dollars are coming from. We need to change that. We need to empower the candidates themselves to finance their campaigns more. If we ever did that, we would immediately go back to a better political world.
We got about 2 minutes left with former Congressman Billy Tauzin. Talk about Election Day and the political landscape. Let's talk about Election Day if we could, Congressman, because you've been through this battle a number of times. You've been through this battle on both sides of the aisle. Walk me through, from a candidate's perspective, what's Election Day like? The waiting, the phone calls, the standing on the street corner waving a sign, all the way down to the grassroots level. What's an Election Day like for a candidate?
Well, it's horrible. I mean, you can find every poll you want and not really know what's going to happen that day. You can get a sense of it. You can feel, momentum, and you feel when you lose it. But Election Day it's just terrible. I mean, you can't. There's nothing you can do that day to change the outcome. If you haven't done it already, it's too late. And all you can do is sit back, trust in the wisdom of the voters, and hoping that they see you as the right person to serve them. I wrote something the other day on Facebook to remind candidates, by the way, that regardless of what party you're in, once you get elected, you have to become bipartisan. All of a sudden, you're required to serve the interest of people who didn't vote for you. And so you need to put aside your partisan ticket and begin thinking as a public official. It's a different thing, a different paradigm. If you could do that, then you'll be around for a while. But if you think that you don't have an obligation to serve people that didn't vote for you, you're in the wrong game, son.
Absolutely. Well said. He is former Congressman Billy Tauzin. I appreciate a couple minutes on this Election Day. Thank you so much, sir.
You got it. Have a good one.
You too. Okay, we're going to have to get him on again. That was fantastic. That was awesome. Coming up on 750 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hey, let's open the phones back up for any candidates that want to call in. When we come back after traffic, we'll do that. Who was that?
So that was our buddy Rocco. He just wanted to just mention again.
Yeah.
That firefighters, they got their $6 million on the ballot for pay increase. He said he was passing from a place and from one company, and man, they're all on the streets at every intersection, just asking for more money.
Hang on, kill my mic. Hey, Moon, what's happening? Yep.
Okay.
What did Rocco have to say?
Just saying, just worth mentioning that just support our firefighters. You know, these first responders. You know, out there, they shouldn't be out there demanding or asking for a pay raise or more money. They should be, you know, doing their job, and because that's what he said.
Wait,
Man.
he said they shouldn't be asking for a pay raise?
Well, they shouldn't be out there doing it, and just for begging. He just wants us to keep in mind that, despite all the politics and everything, that there are firefighters out there who are, wanting a pay raise, and so he was just saying they shouldn't be on the corners.
They shouldn't have to.
Right.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
they shouldn't be. They shouldn't have
Right.
to.
They shouldn't have to. That's
Huge difference.
Yeah. Yep. So, just keep them in mind. That's all he was saying.
Did you ask him if he's coming in Thursday?
Oh, I didn't. No, I did not. But he did say he was going to text or call you, but he knew you were in the middle of an interview. So, yeah.
I'm gonna text him. Yeah. I want to give Ted James. Ted called in. Yeah. Yeah. Galen says for any upcoming war or conflict, can men use the "My body, my choice" mantra? You know what? Don't hate me. Yeah, you probably could, but you won't if you're a real man. How about that? I hear you loud and clear, and it's frustrating as hell. But at the end of the day, someone's got to be the bigger person. Oh, is there a way to get rid of that blue bubble that just says talk and not have a blue bubble up there if we don't have a guest on? It has been there all morning. Yeah. Don't. It's not a big thing. I think it is. All right. 7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hey, as would always happen when we open up the phone lines, we went the entire segment and didn't have a call coming in from a candidate. We go to the news and I got like 3 in a row. So, but then we had Billy Tauzin coming on. So I'd do it again. If you tried and we were already in the news, call back now 499-1073. Yeah, we had 2 different candidates and one person wanted to sound off on a particular issue that's on the ballot. 499 1073. We'll get you in over the next 3.5 minutes we got here. That's time for a call or two. So let's see here. What do we got? News coming up at the top of the hour. After news, we're actually skipping this day in history today because we got the chance, or I got the chance, to talk to William Haldeman. He has got a great book out. It's called Meeting the Moment, and it's apropos for Election Day. There is, John, grab one. It's apropos for Election Day. Meeting the Moment, inspiring presidential leadership that transformed America. William Haldeman, he talks about not just the political aspects of the presidency, but the men behind the office. So he'll be joining us at 8:05. Then we got Secretary of State Nancy Landry at 8:15, Congressman Troy Carter at 8:35. Right now, it is Election Day. Let's hear from you. Who are you? What are you running for, and why should we vote for you?
This is Ted James, running for mayor president. 3 basic questions. Is Baton Rouge better off after the last 8 years? Second question, who is best slated to beat her? And third, who has the best experience, the most diverse experience to lead our community forward? I feel that I've demonstrated an ability that although we are separated by political party, race, city, I have demonstrated the ability that we do not have to be divided because we're separated by all of these different labels. And the only thing that is important to me is that you are a citizen of this parish, and I am excited about the opportunity, humbled by the chance to lead you. And I feel that we have demonstrated and put out a solid plan, and I look forward to working with the people in this parish to make Baton Rouge a place that we all get excited about again.
He is Ted James, running for mayor president of East Baton Rouge. Ted, thank you for hopping in, bud. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. All right, we got about a minute and a half left if we want to squeeze in one more. How did I know Ted would be listening? How did I know? There's a couple candidates out there I'm really surprised that a couple in particular, I'm like legitimately shocked that they haven't gotten on the phone yet because they text throughout the show. 499-1073 if you want to hop in. Next hour is going to be jam-packed. We're not going to have a chance to get back at this. If you want to, now's the time. Hey, before we get you to news at the top of the hour, I do need to remind you, about our election coverage tonight, 8 to 10 p.m. live and local, 10 to midnight. We got ABC News coming your way. I got a stack of guests coming up. We're going to be checking in at victory parties. We're going to be checking in with Secretary of State Nancy Landry, who's also coming up at 8:15. We're going to be checking in with ABC News. We've got all your election returns right here from 8 to 10 p.m. tonight. But after that, the special session opens tomorrow, which cannot emphasize enough about the special session. It's going to be full going for about 3 weeks, 2.5 to 3 weeks. They'll probably end a little bit early. But tax reform is on the table. How big of a bite out of this elephant can we take? Well, we're going to find out starting tomorrow. I mean, polls close tonight. Session opens tomorrow. It's like content overload. And oh, by the way, Tropical Storm Raphael's on the way. And we haven't even talked about Bama. All right, we got to get out of here. Hour 3's next.
Oh, yeah.
All right, William Haldeman is recorded.
Yep.
So
I got him queued up. Do you want to come back in, introduce him, or do you want to just roll straight into it? Introduce hour 3, or do you want to?
I need to set the table for hour 3.
Yeah.
And I mean, I missed by like a minute to get it in 6:50 instead of now.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't though. Well, you know what? Shit. When we bailed on Crouere, we should have gone straight to it. That would have made the most sense. Live radio, bitches.
I was gonna say, I mean, that's what you get. Live in real time. Let's see. How are we looking on Facebook? Anybody?
Nah, it's low. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Yeah, kids are drinking too much caffeine. Hey, 7th graders smashing Alani energy drinks.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
But is that ever really? Is it new? I guess. Well, maybe at an more alarming rate now, but I don't know.
All right, y'all, during this interview, I'm going to get up and walk around a little bit. So I'm determined to lose 30 pounds over the next 2 months, November and December. By January 1, I want to be at 230.
All right.
And by the time I'm wheels up for DC, I want to be at 220 at least, or at most. I'm just sick of myself.
Yep. As a bigger guy, man, I know what you mean. It's like, shoot.
Ooh, Ari Matty. God, I love that. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldeman rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. It is election day, and we're going to take a deep dive with our Secretary of State Nancy Landry in our next segment that's coming up at 8:15. Also on the show today, Congressman Troy Carter at 8:35. Little DC Current presented by LABI. We're actually talking about congressional business with the congressman today, not so much about Election Day there. Although I do want to run through that perspective of what it's like on Election Day. We don't want to get into the campaigning end of it because, well, equal time. Although, to be fair, 499-1073 is equal time. We put it out there in the last hour. So we'll have Congressman Carter coming up at 8:35, and we might open the phones back up at 8:55 instead of doing the outside in. Right now, instead of doing This Day in History, which would normally be presented by the folks over at 5 Star Printing and Signs, get a hold of them at 271-4096. Look around your office. Look at your business card. Look at your brochures. Look at your receipts. Look at the signs you got on the walls and in the windows. Time for a refresh, time for a rebrand. Danny's got you covered over at 5 Star Printing and Signs. Give them a call, 271-4096. We're in the fall, which means everybody's hitting their company golf tournaments and whatnot. How's your swag looking? How's your branding looking? Want to put your logo on, I don't know, the Yeti cups that that are given out, or the Mardi Gras type cups that are given out? I want to put your brand on, anything out there. I would run through a list, but the list would take us the rest of the show. Check out printshop5.com to see how you could put your brand, your logo on merch. Printshop5.com. All right. Before we get to Nancy Landry, I had the chance to interview author William Haldeman yesterday. He's just a wonderful presidential historian. Let's go ahead and hear that now. On this election day, I'm a little bit fired up to take a look back at the past as we're preparing for the future as well. William Haldeman is the author of Meeting the Moment, Inspiring Presidential Leadership That Transformed America. William, welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you, man?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me on.
No, glad to have you on, especially having you on Election Day as well, because this is kind of the calm before the storm in the early morning hours. So let's take a moment to talk about the book itself, what inspired you to write it, and what readers can expect when they read it.
So it's I've always been interested in presidential decision making, but I wanted to get at the heart of some of our best presidents and what was it about them in their most crucial moments, their leadership moments, to meet their moment. What was it about them? What was their distinctive quality that they exhibited in that moment? Was it a sense of courage? Was it a sense of optimism? Was it a sense of confidence? And I really wanted to tease that out, not only just to bring readers and leaders back into the room where some of the most important decisions were made in American history, but to really give leaders the opportunity to see what was it about these leaders that they can use in their own lives, in their own communities, or in their own in the boardroom, or in their classroom, or in their family life, to help them meet their own moment.
We're talking with William Haldeman, author of Meeting the Moment. Yeah, whether it be a presidential moment or translating on down. William, one of the things that I find fascinating about this book is how and where you got your information from, how all this came to be accumulated in order to be, transcribed back to us.
Yeah, I mean, it's digging into my historical background. That's historical trainings, but this is a heavily researched book in terms of going back into the primary sources, the letters, the memos, the oral histories of this. And thinking about really trying to add drama and nuance and really tell the stories, like Lincoln at Gettysburg, the accounts of people who were under the platform where he was speaking, and we could hear the boards squeaking from him walking across because it was so quiet, or going into the room with Reagan and his speechwriters in the Oval Office, and to feel the white couches and to feel and see the thunderstorm in what is a traditional summer thunderstorm in Washington D.C. Really just wanted to have people feel that drama, feel what it was like to be in the room when these core decisions were made.
We're talking with William Haldeman about Meeting the Moment. Yeah, when you get into that level of it, you get into the humanity of it. You get away from, we're so used to in today's political world, the prepared soundbite. We're so used to the things that are the output of all the work that goes in. What you're getting into is the work that goes in, the making of the sausage.
Yeah, it's about the humanity of these people, and I spend time with each of them from a specific like biographical part of each chapter to really understand them as human beings, to really understand where. So, for instance, someone like FDR, where did his courage or his confidence come from? And it goes back to his childhood in New York and his mother's influence on him to believe that anything was possible. Or you go to someone like Ronald Reagan and his innate optimism that is also inherited from his mother, and how that's a through line in their lives. All of these distinct qualities for these six leaders, these six great presidents, the quality that they exhibit in that moment is something that can be teased back to their childhood. And I'd like to tell that story and to take leaders and readers along to help them understand that that wasn't something just popped up in that moment when they faced crisis. It was something that they had cultivated across their lifetime.
And really, when we don't view things through that prism, we miss out on that. What else are we failing to grasp when we don't take the time to do it the way you're doing it here?
I think you miss the nuance. I think that you teach these things in textbooks where you see something like Washington step down after 2 terms, but you don't see, you may not see the aspect of his farewell address, or that September 19th when he decided to step down and issued his farewell address. Is such an important date in American history. And what went into writing that farewell address, and the great amalgamation of thought of the fact that it was people like James Madison and Alexander Hamilton that helped him write this draft, John Jay, like these incredible aspects of this, the personal stories behind this are so meaningful. And then also thinking about the example of his farewell address, what does that mean for us today? I think there's different levels to that than just saying he stepped down after 2 terms. And I think there's great lessons for all of us to learn from these great leaders.
Got a couple minutes left with William Haldeman talking about meeting the moment, inspiring presidential leadership that transformed America. William, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up around today's times where we are more at a political fever pitch than, well, in any time in my lifetime. We are more partisan right now than any time, and we're more able to siphon ourselves or silo ourselves into echo chambers. What do you say to those who aren't open to a little bipartisan critique or a little bipartisan walk through history as this takes a look at both sides?
That's what this book tries to do. It really tries to look at it from a nonpartisan lens in the sense of what is it? There's things that our more conservative friends and Republicans would learn from FDR in the same way our Democratic friends might learn from Reagan. And I think it's important that history is not leadership is not partisan in that sense. There are things that any leader can learn from members on both sides of the aisle that can help them in their leadership journey. And I think it's important that's what this book tries to do. It takes a nonpartisan look at this to say, what can I learn from these leaders who did great things, moved and were transformational for American history? What can I learn about them to help me learn and help me along my own journey?
You look at Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, FDR, and Ronald Reagan. They had to face their trials along the way, but stepping away from the presidential end of this to what you hope the reader's taking away, how can you identify leadership capabilities in someone before they're faced with a challenge?
There's a great book by James Barber, who's a political scientist. He wrote a book in the 1970s about this particular topic, and to focus on, are there things that we can glean from a leader that's going to help decide how are they going to react in a certain realm? I think in this sense, I don't think that there's a set criteria or set formula for leadership. I think it depends on the leader and the circumstance that they face. I think that's what I've learned from these 6 leaders. I think that there's qualities you want them to have. You want them to be courageous, but someone who is courageous but doesn't have good judgment may lead the nation boldly in the wrong direction, or someone who has ingenuity or is very innovative who has bad judgment may innovate in the wrong area. So I think you want your leader to be pretty broad in terms of having good qualities like confidence or courage or have an optimistic spirit. But I think in what I've learned from these leaders is that it really depends on the time and the circumstances, and we hope that these leaders have what it takes to meet the moment in the future.
Last one before I get you out of here, and this is the most important question I'm going to ask. Is Pitt going to bounce back after the SMU loss, beat Clemson in 2 weeks, and run the table?
Hail to Pitt.
Look, man, it's wide open, and y'all got a quarterback from Zachary High under center for you up there at Pitt. So pulling for you on that front. Keep it going with Eli Holstein. He is William Haldeman, the author of Meet the Moment, Inspiring Presidential Leadership That Transformed America. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Grateful to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Yeah, before the interstate, Florida was the main artery in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
But I mean, sprawl, people build out in different places. It's not so now it's considered anything north of Florida is considered North Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
But this group that's putting together the Florida Boulevard Corridor project, they've got monumental tasks and obstacles in their way. Every single win along the way needs to be celebrated as such. Rouse's was huge. This is in the same shopping center at Rouse's. And I didn't think about it in terms of like, I was thinking about Florida Boulevard Corridor in terms of you start downtown, you start at 110,
Right.
and you start moving west to east in order to redevelop it. This is Florida at Ardenwood is mid-city, basically.
Yeah.
You're going to have a base that's going to cross Florida Boulevard to get to this place.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. That is gonna be great. Yeah, 'cause that's a big area right there by that Rouse's.
Yeah,
And if that's gonna be
that
taking up
that shopping
whole-
center behind it
Yeah.
with that had like a furniture store that's going out of business, and I think it's called Rose's Thrift Store or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, this is a big upgrade there. And I think they're going to remodel the space. So it's not a full tear down. But there's going to be, and the fact that it's a national chain is what, if this were like some rinky dink local looking to slap this shit together,
Yeah.
I don't think it would make it. But
But there's an opportunity.
bumper
for it.
cars, rock climbing wall, indoor playground, trampolines, foam pits, ball pits, and an arcade. I mean, that's,
Much needed.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be.
But also it means like jobs for teens, you know,
Oh yeah.
like
more-
17, 18-year-olds, you know? It's 8:20 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Our election day is underway, which means the busiest woman in the state of Louisiana is Nancy Landry, and she's got a couple minutes for us right now. Good morning, Secretary of State Landry. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. I'm doing well, thanks.
No, I appreciate you carving out a couple minutes this morning, and already looking forward to a couple minutes tonight as well once this thing's all wrapped up and whatnot. Let's start off with the morning itself. Polls opened, I guess a couple hours ago. How are we looking so far? Any calls into the office? Any fires to put out?
And we've just had the usual number of hiccups that we have on any election day. And so I get reports every 15 minutes from the field, and we have a few custodians who overslept and, had to send someone to wake them up and get the poll opened. But the polls open, but everything's running pretty smoothly so far, and looks like we're going to have a great election day.
Let's talk about the election day versus the early voting here. We came up just short of 1 million when it came to the early voting. early on for election day, that doesn't look like it's curbed any of the wait, any of the lines, any of the excitement. And I'm not saying lines as a negative. I'm saying as the excitement for voter turnout.
Presidential elections are always our highest turnout election. There's a lot of enthusiasm about this election, and you can't wake up today without hearing about it somewhere. And so I think people are going to turn out today and in big numbers. And so we're expecting around 68 to 71% overall turnout. And so you will have a few lines, and we're asking everyone to be patient with the commissioners who are working, and be patient with your neighbors that you're waiting in line with.
We're talking with Secretary of State Nancy Landry about Election Day. Let's walk us through your Election Day, if we could. You mentioned you get reports every 15 minutes. How does your day map out? What does it look like? Are you hold up at headquarters over there and have everything feeding in? What's Nancy Landry's day look like?
I will be out and about back and forth, so it just depends on what's going on at the moment. And so I'm getting every 15 minutes we get a report. If there's something that requires a conference call, we do that too. And it's just play it by ear, sort of. Let's put out the fires as they pop up, kind of like whack-a-mole. But it's always something, and it's just the normal sort of things that you would anticipate when you're running elections, and 3 million voters out there, and we have humans as commissioners. We have humans running the elections, so there are always going to be a few mistakes here and there, and a few things that we have to deal with. But overall, it's been great so far, and we anticipate that it'll be a great day. Polls are open until 8 p.m., and if you're in line at 8 p.m., you will be allowed to vote. So be sure you get to your polls today before 8 p.m.
We got Nancy Landry with us for just a couple more minutes this morning on what is a very busy morning for her and her office. Secretary Landry, I saw a story the other day about a number of polling locations around the state, 20 different parishes. We had 3 or 4 here in Baton Rouge where the polling locations have changed. What is done procedurally? What is done to make sure that the voters know where they're going on Election Day?
We send a notice to voters when their polling location change, and if it occurs, and the local governing authority is who determines where your polling location is. But we always have some things that crop up at the last minute, a pipe burst or something like that, where they may have to change it to a new location. We do everything we can. If we have time, we mail notice to the voters. If there's not time to do that, of course, if you have the Go Vote app, you'll have the most accurate and up-to-date information, and that's GEAUX Vote. You can find your polling location there. But we also post, the clerk of court will post an employee at the old precinct who will be there in person to tell voters who show up where the new precinct is, where it's been moved to, and it's usually very close by to the old one. But those things do happen sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So that last part was probably the most important one right there, because if all else fails, if you're used to going to the same place to vote every time, you're just going to show up at the same place again. So knowing that there's going to be somebody there to say, no, it's not here today, it's over there. Like, for example, here in Baton Rouge, if you normally voted at St. Joseph's Academy, you've moved over to Catholic High. That's one of the examples of a moving of polling location. So what you're telling me is somebody will be over at SJA to say, no, send it over by Catholic.
If it was in the last few days, if not, the voters got a notice in the mail.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
It's only if it's done, in the time frame where that we're not able to notify voters. But if it's done early enough, we notify the voters through the mail. And of course, you can sign up for push notifications on the Go Vote app, and you will get notifications on your cell phone if you do that.
We got just a few minutes left with Nancy Landry, our Secretary of State. Okay, let's fast forward, Secretary Landry, all the way up until 8 p.m. Polls, once all the votes have been cast, walk us through the process there and about how long we can expect to see results in and around Louisiana. I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm not going to hold you to exact times, to be sure. But walk us through, if everything goes to plan, what are we looking at?
So we allow the voters who are in line at 8 p.m. to vote. So the polls won't, be locked up and closed until the last voter votes that was in line at 8 o'clock. So you may not see a whole lot of results in right at 8:01. But, we will start reporting absentee and early voting as soon as the polls close. And then as the precincts close after all the voters in line vote, then we'll start seeing the results come in. We anticipate having our results around midnight tonight. That's usually how long it takes. It's a meticulous process, and we tell our elections commissioners we want it done right, not speedy.
Right.
So we want them to do it correctly. And so we don't rush them, but we'd rather have accurate results than speedy results. That's what we aim for. But I want to remind voters to bring their ID today. You need a driver's license, a passport, or an LA wallet, a driver's license, or some other recognized ID with a picture and a signature.
No,
And
absolutely.
also the zone around your polling location, there's a 600-foot zone that is an electioneering free zone. So do not wear any campaign materials. Don't bring any signs. Don't wear your candidate's T-shirt or hat or slogan with the candidate's name or slogan on it. And you'll be asked to remove it if you do.
That's an important point right there, because for some reason, merch has been more valuable with one candidate in particular. Just the hats go a long way, to be sure. So it is important to note that there is no electioneering on the premises of the polling place. Before
Within
you
600 feet.
600 feet. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Right.
The last minute before we get you out of here, what else do folks need to know, and what else is your office on the lookout for?
You can find your polling location on the Go Vote app or on our website at govote.com and our voter portal. And if you have any trouble voting, be sure to tell your commissioner at the polling location before you press your cast ballot button. And we also have a hotline, 1-800-883-2805 for any questions about where to vote or anything like that. So those are things voters should know today. And remember, make a plan to go vote so you don't forget.
Yep.
And go vote, Louisiana.
And read the ballot ahead of time. In fact, read the ballot outside the building if you have to. But don't wait until you're inside the voting booth to read the ballot, because at that point you're just jamming things up. Give me that phone number one more time, please.
The hotline number is 800-883-2805.
800-883-2805. She is Secretary of State Nancy Landry. Good luck to you on a busy, busy day. We'll talk to you tonight.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank
you. Look forward to it.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, appreciate the Secretary's time this morning. Okay, so far so good. Like she said, there's the normal hiccups thus far. Had to wake up a custodian. I should have pressed her for a name right there. No. Oh, man. All right, so here's to hoping it's a smooth day today. We did mention there were some changes to a few polling locations in and around town. Let's see if we can't walk through a few of those locations. I know. Let's do the ones that are here in East Baton Rouge Parish. The Advocate put out the article the other day that had the little embedded thing, where you could see all of them. Okay, in East Baton Rouge Parish, like I said, if you vote at St. Joseph's Academy, you've moved over to Catholic High, which you know where that's at. I mean, it's 2 blocks away. You go from Broussard over to Hearthstone. If you vote at Zion City School on Cadillac Street, you are now going to be voting today at Cadillac Street Park Rec Center, which looks like it's maybe a block or so away. And then if you vote at White Hills Elementary School before on Bentley, you're now going to the Brownsfield Volunteer Fire Department for today. And if you have voted in the past at St. John's United Methodist Church, today you are at the Great Hearts of Harveston over there on the end of Bluebonnet down there by Nicholson. Those are the ones in EBR. Quick break for news. Coming back next. Who's that? Oh, cool. Yeah, after news, after traffic. Yeah, let's get him on real quick before we go to Congressman Carter. Tell him it's going to be about 5 minutes. Yeah. I'm gonna talk to him off air real quick, and then we'll get him on. Yeah. Yo. Hey. Sorry, I texted you earlier. We had an open segment that I was going open phones on. Yeah, no. Yeah. So what we're gonna do? Can you keep it under 90 seconds? I love you so much. Oh God. No, I got a fire. There's a fireman calling back in the last segment of the show. Yes. Yes. Right. Well, it's like, yes. You coming in on Thursday? You still good for Thursday? Thursday. Thursday. Yes. Yes. Which I'm gonna see you down there. You're on. I'm gonna see. I'm riding the bus. I'm riding the bus, boss. Yes, sir. No, I know. I know. I remember that from Act 8. So, yeah. We, we cook it. We cook it whatever you want because it's not beef council anymore. No, you don't have to. Perfect. Yeah. I might take you up on that. I might. We might do that a good bit. I don't. No, don't mess around. I will. We will. Yes. It won't be every day, but it'll be a lot. Awesome. All right, later, brother. Good Lord. Oh, what fun. Now, I saw some polling numbers the other day. Sid might be able to pull this out. He, to his credit, he has grown as a candidate. Like the last time he was on, it's one thing to sign up and put your balls out there. It's another thing to actually learn about the job along the way.
Where now he's not just a coach in the race,
Right.
Like he's an actual.
Right.
This is a candidate. This is
right.
He's taking it serious.
But step one is having the humility to know that you don't know anything.
Right. Yeah.
It's the number of people that get into something and then they still feel like they know something.
Right.
But once you know you have to learn, then you can learn. So there's the firefighter spot. I'm gonna tell you the X factor on this one though, and it's just to Ted's. Oh, there's Congressman Carter.
Studio. Hi. Good morning, sir. Yeah, we'll have you up here in just a few minutes. All right. Thank you. What's that? I'm sorry.
It's to Ted's detriment, though, because the number of people who are going to vote for Ted just to outflank Sharon, they're going to pivot. If Sid makes the runoff, they'll pivot back to him in the runoff.
Guaranteed.
All right, what is your Election Day forecast looking like? Well, spotty rain throughout the day today. We do have a 60% chance of rain. There's really no way to narrow it down as to when it's going to be raining. It's looking like we should be good till about noon, and then it's going to be on and off until about 3 p.m. But it's like, where is the on and off? I don't know. But after 3, it opens back up to partly cloudy skies. Before noon, we got partly cloudy skies, or mostly cloudy skies, I should say. So if you were planning on voting at lunch, bring an umbrella. If you were still wanted to squeeze in, if you're not at work yet, maybe stop on by right now and get it knocked out. Or if you wanted to wait until after work, it looks like things clear back up this evening and polls stay open till 8 o'clock. Okay, beyond today, we got a high tomorrow of 88 degrees, a high on Thursday of 87 degrees. Friday, we top out at 83 with a 50-50 chance at rain. Saturday, we've got a 40% chance of rain. Sunday, we've got a 40% chance of rain. But that is all contingent upon what are we looking at with the tropics. We'll have more on Tropical Storm Raphael as it continues to develop over the course of the week. Right now, it is partly cloudy, 77 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. It is 8:38 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We are 60 seconds away from DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. I see Congressman Troy Carter on hold, and I appreciate his patience, but it is Election Day, and we're squeezing in last-minute elevator pitches, whatever you can get them in at 499-1073. I understand Sid Edwards, candidate for mayor president, is on the hotline right now. Coach, how are you, sir?
Oh, it's game day. I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Doing very well as well. Okay, let's get to it. This is the quick pitch, right? This is the 60-second timeout. They're not even breaking for commercial on TV. Why should folks vote for Sid Edwards?
I'm the guy. I've learned so much, Brian, in the last almost 4 months. And the biggest thing I learned is I'm the selection for this position. I keep saying that I owe nobody nothing. There's no special interest. It's a clean slate. It's zero base, and I'm for the whole parish. My confidence is at an all-time high in turning Baton Rouge around. Now, I can't say I'm as confident that I'll win because I don't know. I've never done this.
Right.
But I am 100% feel I'm ordained for it. So I'm just excited. I'm excited about the opportunity and the day.
He is Sid Edwards on your Emil Sid Edwards on your ballot, to be sure. Look for that Emil on the ballot, to be sure. Coach, we appreciate a quick minute this morning. Good luck today.
Hey, y'all enjoy y'all day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. See, we tried to narrow it down to one segment and it just kind of spread throughout the show. Also on the ballot over in the 2nd Congressional District, but he's also a sitting congressman, which is why he's joining us right now. Congressman Troy Carter. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. How are you on this beautiful day?
Oh, I'm better now that I hear that kind of energy. Way to bring it.
All right.
Way to bring it.
Everything is beautiful, man. It's a great day in Louisiana. And like so many voters, we're ready to get on with this election and get back to the job of governing our country.
Can we start there? Because that's not going to be an easy task this time around, Congressman. The rhetoric has been at a fever pitch on both sides. How do you put the you-know-what back in the – or how do you put the horse back in the barn?
Well, when the race is over, it's like a good football game on Sunday. When the game is over, you congratulate the winner, and then you move on. And that's what we have to do. We don't have the luxury of being angry with each other when it's over. We don't have the luxury of kicking rocks. We have a country to run, a state to run, and people that are deserving of a mature adult electorate. Those who are elected, their Congress, their president, their school boards, their mayor's offices. When the election is over, it's time for us to govern. And we can root as hard as we want. We can vote for whoever we want. But when the final numbers are in, we have a responsibility to accept the fate of the people and then move on.
We have Congressman Troy Carter with us. This is DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. As I said in bringing you in here, not just on as a candidate, but as a sitting congressman, we got some business to tend to first, Congressman, if we could. can we start off with funding heading towards Donaldsonville? I mean, I'm trying to pull the press release back up again. This came out way earlier in this year, but we've seen advancements on it recently that the folks in Donaldsonville, there's a gas line replacement that you brought some dollars back home for.
Yeah, in Ascension Parish in Donaldsonville, there was a real issue, and the mayor shared this with me early on in the campaign in the very beginning years and said, listen, we have this antiquated pipe system that our city is literally sitting on a powder keg because of these antiquated gas pipes. And if something doesn't happen, we're going to have a real catastrophe on our hands. And I made a commitment then that once I was elected to Congress, I would roll up my sleeves and go to work to try and bring those resources. I'm very proud to say promises made, promises kept. To date, we've brought some $24 million to the parish of Ascension, to the city of Donaldsonville, to replace those pipes and to give security to that community. And that's what government should do. Listen, we aren't always able to do things as fast or as quickly as people would like. But when we listen to our constituents and we roll our sleeves up and we work, we're able to come together with resolutions. And that's what government should be. Politics is politics, party is party, but governance is what it's really all about.
And amazingly enough, Congressman, it's the governance. That's my driving. That's my motivator as well. I think I'm so sick of politics I could vomit. It's the governance that actually helps us in our day-to-day lives.
Politics, unfortunately, is very much a part of the process. I tell people all the time, I love government service, I hate politics. Right. But you can't disconnect them. They both are important to the overall workings, and so you have to learn to be good at both on how to address the inner workings of politics, which is, everyone has different ideas, different philosophies, different ways of doing things, and none of us have a patent on getting it right 100% of the time. But we all have a responsibility of listening to each other and working together 100% of the time if we are sincere about providing resources to the people that we jointly represent. This is not a kick rocks when you don't get your way. We've got to find a way to meet in the middle and get something, because something is better than nothing. And the notion that when you don't get your way, you crash and burn, well, that's not a very good brand. It certainly does not denote success, or the success that Louisianians deserve, or the success that Americans deserve. We got a lot of work to do. When this election's over, I'm hopeful that regardless of how strong either side was in their vitriol, that we're able to put it aside and get back to work for the American people.
We're talking with Congressman Troy Carter. This is DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. They're your state's Chamber of Commerce. You can learn more about them at labi.org. Congressman, can we pivot over to Jefferson Parish real quick? I know that's a little bit outside of our listening area, but nonetheless pivotal when it comes to our state. You were at the State of Jefferson Parish luncheon the other day. Give us the update on some of your remarks from that luncheon.
Yeah, I was very proud to make a presentation at the State of Jefferson Parish yesterday, and the good thing about, as I refer to my comments, I call balls and strikes. I say the same thing, and regardless of the room that I'm in, because unity is what I've always stood for, and coming together. And the same thing with the Jefferson Parish Chamber, with its state of the parish, was very proud to talk about the millions of dollars that we brought for drainage concerns, for environmental issues with fortifying rooftops and making sure that we are shoring up our levee systems and creating better floodplains to protect homeowners, and to once again double down on our effort to come up with a real resolution to the ill-fated, ill-thought policy of risk rating 2.0, to make sure that we fix it. It's a broken policy. It's a policy that, while it may have been intended to help homeowners, it is doing just the opposite. And so I'm proud to say that in the most bipartisan way that I can say, all members of our Louisiana delegation, Republican and Democrat, are working lockstep with both on the side of doing something administratively as well as from a legislative standpoint to address this dreaded policy and give relief to the people of Louisiana. We know that flood waters and flood prices and these high rising insurance costs, they don't care about race. They don't care about party. They don't care about geography. They don't care where you live or what your zip code is or even how much money you make. We know that it's been devastating to the people of Louisiana, and we will not stop. We will keep fighting until we bring relief to the homeowners and would-be homeowners in Louisiana.
We got about 2.5 minutes left with Congressman Troy Carter. I want to spend those last 2.5 minutes talking. I love picking the brain of an elected official when talking about just the inner workings of what goes on Election Day. What's your day look like today, Congressman? How does it? I had former Congressman Billy Tauzin on earlier. I asked him how Election Day was. He said it was terrible. It was because you couldn't do anything about it. So what's the
well, you know what? I have a theory, little slightly different, and I love Billy. Billy is one of our absolute best and brightest that ever came out of the state of Louisiana. We love Billy. I will tell you that I get up very early, and I go and we go on various intersections and street corners with signs and waving to people and saying hi. We go to the beauty shops, the barber shops, grocery stores, wherever people are to give them that last minute if they have a question or comment or suggestion. But the other thing is, on a Tuesday election, when unfortunately in our country we don't always have the level of turnout that we like, I spend the day really reminding people how important it is that they get out and vote, that they exercise their constitutional right to cast their vote for whoever they choose, because it's a precious right and one that we know so many people died for that opportunity. And we also know that for our democracy to work, for our democracy to be protected, for our rule of law to be exercised, people have to be engaged. People have to vote. So going around, going door to door when I hang with you, my wife and my 2 kids, we're going to go and cast our vote officially, and then we'll be back on the street. So making sure that we do our constitutional right and go and vote, and it's always a family affair for me. So my oldest son, who's in law school at Tulane, and my oldest son, who's a senior at Howard, flew in town last night just so he can cast his vote, and we can keep our family tradition of all voting together. A family that votes together stays together.
He is Congressman Troy Carter. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you so much, and good luck today.
God bless you, my friend. Have a fantastic day.
You do the same as well. We're coming up on 850 at Talk 107.3 FM. Congressman Carter, 1 of 5 on the ballot in District 2. You got Devin Davis, Devin Lance Graham, Christy Lynch, and Chandrell Perilou all on the ballot as well. We got one segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldeman before we hand off to Moon Griffon. We're going to make it in one more time. We'll get to the outside in if nobody else wants to chime in on what's going on the ballot, if nobody else wants to call in as a candidate. But if you do, 499-1073. We're here for you, 499-1073. Candidates, constitutional amendment, firemen, Breck, you name it, give us a holler. Here comes Your Money Now on Talk 107.3. That was really long. Yeah.
Like that. That's about it. A couple seconds.
How about the energy behind the congressman right there?
He's psyched.
Yeah. Hey, he's another one. Like, I'm not going to agree with him politically very often.
Right.
But I am going to hear him out. Because at his heart, he does not want to destroy America. He's a good guy.
So it should be, man. Give everybody a voice. We'll hear you out. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
All right, yeah, William Haldeman is featured, and so is Billy Tauzin. You don't have to save the individual calls. The Sid Edwards and Ted James.
Yep.
You don't need to save those. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, last year when we did this for the statewide races, man, the phone lines were jammed up. I mean, just absolutely jammed up. With I'm running for this post in this town.
They want their
I'm
voice
running
heard.
for state rep. I'm running for state senate. Like it was just one after another after another. It was freaking. It was really fed my ego way too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just pound, 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 pound.
And now it's, yeah.
We heard from Ted. We heard from Sid.
Yep.
Oh, I need these numbers for tonight. William Haldeman. Say author William or presidential historian William Haldeman. Talks about the character behind some of our greatest presidents.
Presidential historian. Okay.
And then
Billy Tauzin. You got a title for Billy's one?
Billy, yeah.
Studio. Yes, sir. We'll have you up here shortly. Thank you. That's Jake. With the fire department.
Billy Tauzin looks at today's political landscape. That's fine. That's fine. Nancy Landry goes under elections, by the way.
Got it. Any headline for her?
Get your final election day preview, I guess, from the Secretary of State. Election day starts off smooth from the Secretary of State's office or perspective. Here we go. 856 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Not done yet. We normally hit the outside in before we get out of here and hand off to Moon Griffon. Give me one quick second, though, to remind you, Talk 107.3 and Citizens Bank and Trust bring you the ultimate holiday gift with our Home for the Holidays sweepstakes. Imagine 2025 with your rent or mortgage covered up to $18,000. We're here to make your holidays a whole lot brighter. Just sign up at talk1073.com, and you can be living stress-free next year. The winner will be notified on December 20th. So I said normally we have the outside in right here. However, it is Election Day, and we've been leaving the phone lines open for anybody who wants to get in that last-minute pitch. Who are you? What are you running for, and why should we vote for you? That's good for candidates. That's good for items on the ballot as well. Who do we have on the line right now?
Hey, Brian.
Hey, yeah,
Hey.
go ahead.
Hey, man, it's Jake Morgan with the Baton Rouge Firefighters.
Oh,
How are you?
Jake, how's it going, man? How's your Election Day started off?
It's great, Brian. If you've been driving around Baton Rouge over the last 6 days, you've likely seen firefighters holding signs on the corners. We've had great participation from all the firefighters, but the signs they're holding are for the City of Baton Rouge proposition. This is the first time that the Baton Rouge firefighters have done this in 24 years. It's labeled on the ballot, City of Baton Rouge 6 Mills, and it is at the bottom of your ballot. If this passes tonight, this would bring our Baton Rouge firefighters' pay up to industry standard, and we're just super excited. It's a big day for us. We put in a lot of work advertising this thing, and we just hope that it goes through. And we ask your listeners for their support.
Jake, I got to ask you, man, I've seen so many firefighters on the streets the last days. Y'all still got people back at the stations, right?
Yes, sir. Those trucks are manned with the appropriate personnel. That's no problem at all. Those guys want to be out here, but they're serving the city today,
Well,
and they're proud to do it.
And shouldn't have to be hat in hand, to be sure. We're going to protect those who protect us. Jake, it's like you said, City of Baton Rouge 6 Mills. It's on the very bottom of your ballot. Now, that's only if you live within the Baton Rouge Fire District, right? It's not if you're St. George or East Side.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. It's just inside the city limits of Baton Rouge because that's the area we service. So if you live within the city, we'll be on the ballot, and we just ask you give us a shot and a consideration today.
Appreciate it. On the very bottom of the ballot, Jake with the Baton Rouge Fire Department. Thank you so much for hopping back on, man.
Thank you, Brian. Have a good one.
You have a great day as well. Do we have enough time to get in the outside in? We got like a minute, right? Let's see how quickly we can do this. My computer shut down, so I'm relying on you for the countdown here, John, all right?
All right, let's
All
roll.
right, starting off in Livingston Parish. After multiple threats were made to local schools on social media in recent weeks, Livingston Parish Public Schools and the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office announced Monday they are working to address the issue. The school system has mandated all middle and high school campuses to teach a lesson on the severe consequences of making threats, as well as the appropriate ways to handle and report threatening material to authorities. They say there haven't been any qualified threats just yet, but, better safe than sorry. That's all we got? All right, fine. We got to get out of here. Moon's next. Have a great election day. Y'all go out and vote. All right, Facebook. Appreciate y'all's indulgence and patience this morning. The banner that has squeezed down the camera size a little bit, get used to it. It is the precursor for things to come. We're growing. These are the growing phases right now. And this is just what's soon to be on board. You saw the little graphic at the bottom when we had a caller on, or we had a phone interview on. So anyway, no Franz tomorrow. We're all election recap and preview of the special session. And of course, Congressman Graves is on for DC Current. We'll be back on regular schedule by Thursday though. So have a great day. Go out and vote. We'll see you tomorrow.